Hello everybody, sorry I'm not there today. This is the last thing I want to be doing. Let's have a quick prayer. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. Let's pray for world peace, the end of pandemics, the end of terrorism, the end of school shootings, the end of war, and any violence of any kind. We pray. We had a PD session on Friday, and the conclusion of one of the articles we read was there should be no time for anything but love in our life, because life is too short. And boy, that'd be a wonderful world if everyone loved everyone and helped each other and made each other happy and smiled at everyone. So we just pray that God bombs the world with peace, joy, and love. Amen. Okay, we're going to start with the daily quiz today. And even though I'm showing you the LCM, because that's the last thing we did, it's not going to be on GCF and LCM. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes right now to study. I lied. First thing we're going to do is correct the numerical response sheet that I gave you. So I'll get Super Teacher to hand out those handouts that are on my desk that says numerical response key and has a whole bunch of chicken scratch on it. And you guys can correct those on your own and digest them. So that will take, I'd say 10 minutes. And then you can study for the daily quiz. I'm going to give you another 5 minutes. Okay, so correct your numerical response sheet and then study for the daily quiz. And Super Teacher, in 15 minutes, you can unpause this podcast and all the daily quiz are ready for them. So pause. Okay, so here's the daily quiz. Please get a separate piece of paper out so you can't see anything else. If it's in a cold notebook, don't rip it out. Just you're not handing it in. You're going to correct this on your own. So this is daily quiz 1, and write down these questions. And then write down the answer. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 first, and then have the second half of the quiz after we correct 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I'm going to get you to write these 3 questions down and do them. I will give you 8 minutes to do these. Copy them down and do them. Please pause the podcast. Wait 8 minutes, and then I will have the answers ready. Thank you. Okay, now I'm about to write the answers, so I'll make sure everyone's ready for the answers. And this is collect like terms. For some reason, there we go. Make sure you put equal signs, otherwise you're going to lose marks. 4x squared plus 1x squared is 5x squared. Negative 3x subtract 2x is negative 5x. And negative 1 plus 7 sounds like a 6 of Rooney to me. All right, you're correcting this on your own. Check, underline anything that's wrong, and who cares if you get something wrong. Just learn from your mistakes. This is negative 4 subtract 2, which is negative 6. Keep the letter part. And this is the only x part. And then you're going to add these together. So negative 17 subtract 32 is negative 49. Check, all good times, good job. Okay, this is distributive property. Maybe should have left myself a bit more room so you don't do anything with the first term or the second term. And if you subtract, you either change all the signs inside the bracket or you can multiply by negative 1 and it's the exact same thing. So this becomes negative 3x and this negative 4 becomes plus 4. Watch that sign. And never mind, I'm going to just collect these middle terms and you get negative 8x squared, subtract 6x, keep the letter, plus Bobby-Orr. There we go. I'll let you make any corrections and mark these right or wrong. They're out of 1. If you made any mistake, you lost half. If you made 2 mistakes, you lost them all. Okay, I'm going to move on. You might have to pause it if people are still writing, and hopefully that works just fine. And it's time to write down the last part of the quiz. And then do them, please. So we'll give these super students 10 minutes to write these down and complete them. Might be too much, so use your discretion. And pause. Wait till it goes 5 by 5. Here it comes. What? Okay, last 3 questions of the daily quiz. Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Is first distributive property. I don't know why that's green. It's supposed to be black. And anyways, you ignore the 8, subtract 2. You don't subtract. You do dead mass first. So you multiply first, and then you collect like terms. So a little tricky question. Put the x part first, the x term, and then 8 plus 14 equals 22, which is the Venn. Duh. This one is distributive. The other little tricky question to distributive property. That one is you follow order of operations, and number 5, you stop distributing when the brackets end. Negative 8 times negative is positive 8x squared. And then this is, you just bring it down. Now you collect like terms, if you can, but you can't. You can't add x cubed with x squared, so you can only add x cubes with x cubes. So that is the final answer. Don't mess around with anything else. That's perfect, 100%. Numerical response. Let's go blue with this one. So that's the format I give you. Let's write down it above or below the other form I gave you. So A is the number in front of x squared. B is the number after the subtraction sign, which is just 3, not negative 3. And C is the number after the addition sign, but there is no addition sign. You can also see addition as subtracting a negative. So that's the same thing as plus 2. And so the number after the subtraction sign is negative 2. The other thing you can do is, if you don't like that way, just ask yourself, what do you put in for C to make negative C plus 2? So negative 2? Nope. How about negative 2? Yep. Okay, now don't do that and forget to answer the question. It just asks you to add them up. And 6 plus 3 plus negative 2. Calculator. Equals 9, subtract 2, touchdown, Roughriders. Best team in Saskatchewan. Okay, there's the daily quiz. Give yourself marks. You have, it's out of 6, which is so weird. You don't have to worry about that, because everyone in class is getting 5 out of 5 on this one. Thank you. Thanks for coming, thanks for your hard work. And that's going to prepare you for the quiz that's coming. And I'm going to give you 10 minutes to study everything we've done. You do not need to study GCF LCM. It's not on the quiz. So you've got 10 minutes. And then we'll hand out the quiz, super teacher, and I will correct them when you're done. It will not be open book. And you know what to expect. Collect like terms, distributive property, and numerical response. So pause. Once, I guess 9 minutes have expired now, go ahead and hand out the quiz, and the quiz should take, good question, 15 minutes. Good luck. Okay, you now have quiz 1 under your belt. Handed it in, and now it's time to go to page 5 and read this whole page and write down and highlight what you need to highlight. I do want you to, even though we wrote it down on another page, it's important that you know that terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So go ahead and write that down here again. Add that S. Now, don't worry about degrees. We're not going to talk about degrees, so you don't have to worry about that. But I'll lead you along, but you need to know these. We talked about them already, and keep on reading and highlighting down. Give you 4 minutes to do that, and then you can unpause when everyone's done that page. Okay, we're now on page 7 after you read that page. We're not going to do algebra tiles, so go ahead and scroll right under that algebra tile diagram. I had enough of those in grade 9, I think. And go ahead and write down factoring by GCF. Factoring by GCF. And write down start with the lowest number like we learned yesterday for GCF. That might save you some time. And then to figure the GCF out of your, if you notice, here's some M's and D's. To know how many M's to take out, you always take out the lowest exponent. So lowest exponent of variable. If there's the variable in every single term of variable. All right, so let's do A and B. And you can show your stuff in D and E. Okay, so together for this one, this says factor. And factor means it's an important math verb, create brackets. Expand means get rid of brackets. So we're going to create brackets here by taking a GCF out. It might be a number, it might be a letter, it might be both a letter and a number, and usually it is. So here, you have to understand when to take a 3 or a 6 out, because your brain is telling you both of them kind of sound right. You start with the lowest number. Okay, so 3 is the biggest one you can take out, and yes, you can take a factor of 3 out. Then factor means create brackets. If you start with 2 terms, a binomial, that means your bracket is going to have a binomial. Okay, so that's important. All these questions here are binomials, so you're going to have 2 terms inside the bracket. Now, once you divide everything by 3, you take a 3 out. There's several ways to look at it. You can, you can divide this whole thing by 3, but you can't lose this 3. You have to take it out and write it outside the bracket. So now we divide, oh yeah, and you can't take an x out because this term doesn't have an x. So you can only take an x out if every term has an x, at least one. This doesn't have an x, so you can't take an x out. So take out a 3, and then you can ask yourself 3 times what equals 6. And you have an x left over. And when you distribute that, you should get 6x. And now this is, they start here with a tricky one right away. You took this 3 out, but you can't leave it blank if it's 0, because I just said if it starts with 2 terms, there must be 2 terms in the bracket. So 3 times what equals 3, and you have to put a +1 there. So you can check it by distributing, you should get exactly what you started with, 6x plus 3. Okay, so that's how you factor. You should be fuzzy, that's okay, just keep on working. Let's go to the next question, and it'll get better and better. So now, you start with the lowest number, you can take a 2 out, and now we do have variables in each term, so you can take them out. And you take out, you have to decide whether to take an m squared out or an m. Well, you can only take one m out because this one only has one m. So you take the lowest exponent of n, there's muchacho, create brackets, and now ask yourself, 2m times what equals 2m squared? Or you had two m's, that's what m squared means, and you took one out, so you have one left. In this one, you have 6m, so 2m times what equals 6m? 3 times 2 is 6, and there's your m. Or you can, if you want to, divide everything by 2m and do it that way. Subtract exponents, divide numbers, and then cancel letters here. Okay, so try D and E similarly, and use A and B as a blueprint. And we'll give you 5 minutes to do those two. I think I'm going to let you pause, super teacher. Pause, 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 and unpause when you're... Okay, let's unpause this and tackle this new concept. GCF. Okay, you can only take a number here because this term does not have a letter. So first of all, you can only take a number out. And you start with the lowest one. 3 is the biggest one you can take out. And yes, 3 is a factor of 6. So you take out a 3. Factor means create brackets. So now if you want to, you can divide everything by 3 and just do the division. Oops. AKA, you know what's even better to do it this way. It's just a little hard because this is so small on my screen. If you divide each term by 3, so divide by 3 and divide by 3. So you can see here the 3's cancel, so you're left with a G. And here it's 6 divided by 3, so plus 2. And then just make sure you double check it, and then you get 3G. When you distribute this, you get 6. Or you can say 3 times what equals 3G, right there. 3 times what equals 6, right there. Whatever works best for you. There's the elephant in the room. Smallest number, is it 8? The GCF 8? Nope. Is it 4? Yep. So take a 4 out. And then the smallest exponent of D, which is D. So take a 4D out. Again, you can only take one D out of here because it only has one D. Now, if you want to, again, it doesn't, whichever way is your favorite, you can divide everything by 4D. But if you don't take a 4D out, if you just take a 4 out, or if you just take a D out, you're going to lose half your marks. So you have to take this one. You have to take out both a number and the letter. So here you get 2, and then 12 divided by 4, or you can say 4 times what equals 12 plus 3. And you had 2 D's, you took 1 D out. You can look at it that way as well. And just double check it. Does this equal 8D? Yep. Does this equal 12D squared? Yes, it does. And that might catch a sign mistake. Good job, good job, good job. Let's move on. Oh, good catch. To 2A and do 2 of these together. Same concept. Factor means create brackets. So you start with a binomial, you're going to end with a binomial, 2 terms in the brackets. So smallest number is 10. What's the greatest factor of 10? 10. It's not a factor of 15. What's the next factor? 5, yes. Smallest exponent, yes. And the other way you can do this is 15 divided by 5 is what? X squared divided by x is what? Subtract exponents. Or again, you had two x's, you took one out. So there's one left. 10 divided by 5 is 2. You had one x, you took it out, so there's no more x part. Double check it, you get 15x squared plus 10x. One more together and star this one, because this one starts with a negative sign. So instead of taking a 7 out, you're going to take a negative 7 out. Okay, that's how we do it as professional math students. You always take a negative out when the first term is negative. So take a negative 7, and then does each term have an n in it? Yes, they do. So you're able to take the smallest exponent out. So you take a negative 7n, and then you gotta be really careful with the signs here, because all the signs are going to change. Okay, and again, if you want to, you can write down divide by negative 7n, divide by negative 7n, divide by negative 7n, if that helps you. I'm going to not do that. So you took a negative 7n out, so negative 7n times what equals negative 7n plus 1, or just 1. And then negative 21 divided by negative 7 is plus 3. And you had two n's, you took one out, so you're left with one n left. Or you can do the other way, negative 7 times 1 equals plus 35. And then you had four n's, you took one n out, subtract exponents. 4 subtract 1 is there's 3 nacho cheeses left here. Now, believe it, that's the answer. If you can't add any of these together, there's no sense of distributing this because you're going to get the question, and that just tells me you don't know what factor means. Factor means create brackets, not get rid of brackets. All right, do compact disc on your own. Another 5 minutes for you. Please pause and have fun. Okay, C is certainly like B. You have to take a negative out, negative 7. And the smallest exponent of A. So you have A squared, AA, so smallest exponent of A is A. Smallest exponent of B is B, B squared is B. Now, if one term didn't have a B, you couldn't take it out. They all have a B. So let's do that and create brackets. Why am I doing this so big? I'm going to run into D. Oh well. Okay, so now remember, we need 3 terms here because we started with the trinomial. So now, what's left over? Well, you take a negative 7. Again, you can write that underneath each term if you want to, or visualize it like this. Negative 7 times what equals negative 7? 1. You don't need to write it. You had 2 A's. You took 1 out, so you're left with 1 A. You had 1 B. You took it out. That's it. Or you can do the division way. You can do negative 28 divided by negative 7 is plus 4. And then A divided by A is cancels, or equals 1. B divided by B equals 1. So that's it for that term. Or, like I said, you can write down divided by 7AB over each term, and then you have this number divided by number. Negative 14 divided by negative 7 is plus 2. The A's cancel, and you have 1B left over when you subtract exponents to subtract 1. Okay, now distribute that. Just get the exact same thing. Negative 7A squared B, negative 28AB, yep. Negative 14AB squared, yes. And again, that will cut down on sign mistakes if you quickly check it. D. Okay. First of all, you can't take a D, you can't take an X out because there is no X in that term. You can't take a 2 out because there's no 2 in this term. Only thing you take out here is, good job, a Y. And what's the lowest exponent of Y? It's Y squared. There's 4 terms, so there's got to be 4 terms in the bracket. And it's, again, you can multiply or divide, depends on which way you want it. You had 3y's, take 2 out. You had 2y's, you took 2 out, so you have left 8x. You had 4y's, you took 2 out. And similarly, it's 16x squared, y to the what? 5th. Subtract 2 is cubed. Y cubed at the end. Okay, and that's a weird looking answer. And the weird answer is a perfect answer. Okay, last thing to do today is to give you homework in your textbook that you got yesterday. It's on page 155, 7AE. Some of these questions say show with algebra tiles and so forth. We didn't do that, so just do it the way we just did it on the podcast. 8 ace. All you have to do is factor this. You don't have to do anything else. And 10 ace, and you're an ace. Thanks for working so hard. Best an awesome day. Ha ha ha.